The Financial Survival Network, helping you to survive and thrive in the new economy. This is the Financial Survival Network.
Financial Survival Network is presented to you by Regal Assets. Buy and sell physical gold and silver through your existing retirement plan, 100% tax-free with Regal Assets. If you want to include physical gold or silver in your existing IRA or old 401k, request your free investment kit, which was recently featured in the Forbes and Smart Money Wall Street Journal magazines. Call toll-free 855-678-6620, 855-678-6620, or visit regalassets.com. So our old friend Gary Gibson is on, and he's changed his venue on the web, and he's now teamed up with our other friend, Jeff Berwick. So Gary, how are you doing there?
I'm pretty good, thanks.
So you're outside the USA, huh?
I'm feeling safer already.
Yeah, well, you could never be too safe in the U.S., that's for sure. So what's going on with you? What are the latest developments here?
Well, in a couple of days, we are saying goodbye to the Whiskey and Gunpowder newsletter that I ran for a few years for Agora Financial. And before that's over, though, I'm saying hello to my friend Jeff Berwick and finally taking the plunge and leaving the U.S. for an extended period of time to work with him at the Dollar Vigilante, where I am right now, writing and editing with him.
And you have to spell Dollar Vigilante for our listeners because they've been dumbed down by the American public school system.
Yeah, that's the public school system. All right, DOLLAR VIGILANTE.com, Dollar Vigilante.
Okay, that's an inside joke with Jeff and I. He always has to spell vigilante because, they just don't know how to spell anymore. They stopped teaching that in school. Jackie Mason, that famous comedian, always says, when I went to school, we got homework. Nowadays, they give out condoms. So, that's social engineering at a grand scale there, that's for sure.
And that's because condoms are evil, actually.
Yeah. Well, homework is evil to when you're wanting to dumb down a society. The first thing that's got to go is the homework, right?
I think the first thing to do is convince them that they absolutely rely for the prosperity on the state. That is the real reason you want to get kids in public education, because they can be indoctrinated. So you can still teach them stuff that'd be useful, although eventually you don't.
Yeah.
But the first thing is allegiance and dependence to the state,
Absolutely.
first and foremost.
Funny how that works, huh?
Yeah, really funny. So that's why I end up surrounded by people like, I don't want to jump ahead of myself too much here, but that's the thing. Like, I'm scared of the government in the U.S. I completely am. These guys are insane.
Sociopaths.
Yeah, they're running the show. They want to get total control. We talked about that earlier. But more than anything, I'm worried that I live with people who don't see the danger because they've been taught their whole lives to trust the state like the people of old trusted the church. So I don't want to be around those people. They're the ones that I'm just as scared of my neighbor in the U.S. And I like living in the U.S. otherwise. I think it's overall a pretty well-developed place. I like the architecture. I'm used to it. I speak the language. I speak with the accent. But I'm just as scared of my neighbor's complete belief that that the government really is not out to do anything wrong, as I am with the government itself.
Yeah, well, Gary, don't you know that the government has your best interests at heart?
I don't know that, actually.
You weren't properly indoctrinated. That's your problem. Life would be so much easier.
I used to be a fundamentalist Christian for a little bit, too, so that didn't stick. Irrational things just don't stick with me. So here I am.
So you're
all by
hopeless.
myself. Yeah, I'm hopeless. I don't go to church. I don't worship at the church of the state. I'm just I'm a threat, man. I'm going to get in trouble if I stick around. So I figured I'd come here where I'm among like minds.
Yeah, so what are you going to be doing at the dollarvigilante.com?
Everything I can. I am just listed as one of the editors now. I'll be contributing, obviously. Work on the daily issues and the monthly and semi-monthly issues. We are coming with new products for readers to help them out however we can. And of course, there is the issue of citizenships and passports with TDV passports. looking to get people out on the Underground Railroad, the new updated Underground Railroad, to help the slaves in the USSA escape to freedom anywhere else. Was
it your column today? It said "Dear Slavey." Is that
yeah,
yours?
No, that's a regular edition that was here before I got here.
Yeah, I was reading it today, and I really got a kick out of it, I have to say.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Yeah,
it was fun to read, and it's I interviewed somebody from Dollar Vigilante in Vegas at Freedom Fest about was it Ken? I believe
it was Ken. Yes, it was
Ken.
Our friend Ken.
Yeah, about getting a second passport, and we got a zillion downloads off of it. People really are interested, and I think that interest is really going to increase, because I can tell you this, over the past couple of weeks, I don't think I'm doing anything different on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Well, our website traffic's up by about a third, and downloads are up by about 40% of the audio show. And like I say, if I was doing something different, if I changed my voice or, got a spray-on suntan or something, I wish I could attribute it to something. I think there's a growing sense of unease and of fear, perhaps, and it's manifesting itself here.
Yes, I think you're right. That's I feel that I'm part of a serious growth industry, but it's something I believe in. It's something I'm doing myself. I should disclaim that I don't have U.S. citizenship. I never did. I came here as a very small child from a Caribbean nation, of which I'm still a citizen, and I have that passport. So I feel a little bit better just knowing that. Still, I feel physically unsafe being within U.S. borders where they can legally reach me. I figure they can, if they really want to, they can reach wherever you are in the world. They'll blow you up in Afghanistan, they'll come to rescue you in Netherlands. Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
Really get away. But it makes it a little bit harder to put as many barriers in the way as possible. And I feel, I'm not saying I'm going to get taken away in the middle of the night yet. I'm not saying we're there yet, but I would not be surprised if that started happening. It just accelerates like rapidly. Before you could, if you saw it coming, you wouldn't be a problem. You get out before it happens.
Sure.
The trick is to leave while it still seems crazy to do so. Everyone's like, what are you worried about? Everything's fine. And then, 2-3 months go by and everything's suddenly different and you didn't get out while you could have.
And on that note, I just did an interview yesterday with a guy by the name of Arch Crawford, and he has a website, Crawford Perspectives, and he's been I would call him an astrological financial guy for 40-something years, and he's made some amazing calls. One of which was at the 2000 election. He said, pretty much, I don't know what's going to happen, but this election is strange. Something weird's going to happen, and I don't know what it is, but that's what the chart's telling me. And what he's saying now is the chart's telling him that the election will either be delayed or canceled, and martial law will be implemented. Now, I don't want to alarm people and say, hey, this guy's always right, because I can show you instances where he's been wrong. But it's just interesting, because my feeling has been something's going to happen and we're not going to have this election. I could be totally wrong too. My gut instincts are often wrong, but generally I've done very well in life going by my gut.
And you said the magic 2 words, martial law. Kind of waiting for that to come down. I am far from a conspiracy buff. It just seems like complete natural progression to me at this point.
Yeah.
I just, the whole FEMA camp, disarmament of the populace, the drones. That would make complete sense if they cancel elections. So the next 5 to 6 months, just watching things get completely like movie kind of crazy. Just the kind of stuff you thought could only happen on the big screen, like happening right outside your window. And our friend Doug Casey is always talking about that. He's like, yeah, I'd rather watch that stuff on the big screen in the news in my living room in Argentina than outside my living room window in Minneapolis, where I recently came from. So
yeah, I'm not convinced that it's going to happen, but it certainly seems that we've had a long progression, and these executive orders have come down with alarming regularity, which really restrict rights and are really setting the stage if there's some type of quote-unquote emergency, that martial law would be implemented as the natural course of events, like you said.
Yeah, I got to tell you that I finally took the jump this year to come down here, and a couple of things happened, a couple events, kind of met and just gave me that push. First of all, it's like the U.S. government was sending me little letters, basically, not to me personally, but just everything they've done has said to me, we're not kidding this time. We'll arrest whoever we want. We're gonna do whatever we want, and we're gonna take whatever we want from whomever we want. That was the message all throughout, from the attempts to control the internet to the NDAA 2012. I mean, that's just been the message. And then, of course, at Agora, I felt that I wasn't able to. It wasn't a perfect fit at all. I felt what I could doing with Jeff would work so much better. So it's like I got my marching orders practically from the U.S. government. And Jeff was there with open arms, and then Agora Financial was like, yeah, we're not sure whiskey's on its own is doing what we want. I'm like, where I'd be useful and where I'd be safe. And it just seemed to make complete sense to come down here. And I miss my life in the U.S., but I don't miss the U.S. And I'll go back as soon as I think it's safe, which could be 10 or 20 years until they go through whatever crack up they have to go through and insanity they have to go through. And, it could be quick, like a Nazi Germany thing, 10, 15 years of madness culminating in war and defeat. Or it could be like, instead of the fascists, it could be more communist, like a nice long century of, or nearly a century of misery and poverty and isolation. So either way, I'm not looking to make a life back there until things look safer. And right now, they got to go through their crisis politically and economically. And that means the heavy hand of government cracking down on a poor, riotous populace. So I don't want to be poor and I don't want to be put in jail. So I figured there's much more opportunity outside. And if you're one of those people who who sees this coming, and especially if you have assets, and you can work wherever you want, your business will survive wherever you go. You need to, you really need to look into this. A lot of the people who look for the passports are, they're a lot more self-made than I've had a chance to be yet. They've got tons of assets they need to protect, and they see what's going on. And I'm lucky enough to have no need for a second passport. I already have another passport.
Yeah,
but if I had the money,
I'd
not kidding. I would it'd be the first thing I do. I think the age also of this whole. Another reason I'm glad I made the jump is this. TDV obviously there could be a huge blow up in mining stocks before everything goes haywire, and that's probably in stocks. That's probably where you'll make your money these days. That's probably your last chance. I think the age of just throwing money into the stock market and kind of watching it all rise. I think just like the age of home ownership being the way to, it's kind of over. We're looking at
it's totally over.
Yeah, the next bubble will be when the dollar dies and gold and silver shoot up. That's going to be the next bubble, and that's where you should be now.
That will be huge, no doubt.
Yeah.
That'll be.
But
huge.
As far as strategies, you need to, instead of looking for, I wouldn't really care so much what stock I was buying right now. I'd care more about protecting what I have, protecting my physical self.
Absolutely.
With location.
Yep, I agree with you. There's a lot of wisdom there. So we find you at dollarvigilante.com now, right?
Yep, I can spell it again if necessary.
Yeah, spell it again. Just emphasis added on vigilante.
Yes, DOLLAR is dollar, and then VIGILANTE.com, vigilante, dollarvigilante.com. And you can always Google us. I'm sure you'll find us that way too, but that's the link. And you can see what we're all about there. As you've spoken to Jeff before a couple times, Kerry, and you know that we're both very anti-state, to the point of we don't want any state. We're all about the markets and personal freedom, and we think the world would look beautiful if if that ever really did happen all over the place. So, be warned. But right now, we're focused on the actionable advice is to protect yourself from the most dangerous criminal gang out there right now, which is the U.S. government. And if you're in the U.S., look for ways to get out of jail card, and we can help with that.
Okay, well, it's definitely some wisdom there, and definitely a good insurance policy against what can go wrong here. Hopefully we've still got time left. That remains to be seen. I'm not necessarily buying into that mid-September to end of September timeframe, but I do think there's a limit to how long they can keep the financial system propped up. Mm-hmm. And I think arguably there are elements within the government that would like the collapse now so they could just tighten the noose and really, go all
They're
way,
in place,
all the
man.
way.
Yeah, they seem to have everything kind of ready to go
Yeah,
when the
it's
collapse.
ready.
And you hear the whispers on the internet, and people say, it's all crazy stuff. But yeah, pay attention. Like they just they've passed laws they need to pass. Their servants, the military and the police they're trained to do as they're told, and they have it's in their best interest to do so and to crack down. And the thing is, people, even when they're hungry and angry and totally poor, they believe in their government. Like, people believe the U.S. government's a benevolent force in the world. People who live there think that. And the few who don't, those people I'm kind of addressing this to. You guys, get on the Underground Railroad, get out when you can, because your neighbors. Even when things go completely haywire and they're poor and the government's cracking down on them and they're filling the FEMA camps and they got the police in the street with the tanks and taking your gun, all that stuff, your neighbor's still going to think these guys are trying to help. So how do you fight that? What's
just like they helped in New Orleans for Katrina. They did such a great job there. And
imagine that all over the country, in every major city, something like that.
Once the dollar goes, the confidence in the government goes too. The two are really attached at the head. And if there's no dollar, there's no underlying confidence in the state. And when people are all impoverished because all their wealth was in paper, they'll understand it then. But unfortunately, it's going to be too late. Gary,
yes.
Good luck. Good luck at the Dollar Vigilante. Jeff and I are good friends and always bump into each other in conferences. And we will talk to you again soon, probably in a couple weeks, after we start seeing the prodigious workflow start emanating from the Dollar Vigilante.
Fantastic. All right, Kerry, always a pleasure.
Hey, you too.
All right, take care.
Bye.